darker until somebody said it, and I was like, is it? I didn't have my glasses on to see.
It's so funny, the number of people that actually have these wonderful masks on, and then that say, let me just bring these levels down a little bit here, where it's just really hot. There. Not actually picking up. All right, I think we can get started. Hey, it's Mornings with James, and welcome Amanda to the program.
Hey guys, good morning everybody.
Wow, awesome. So, kind of Amanda's the last minute add into the program. We were at the 5th Annual Kinsman Mardi Gras on Saturday night, and I saw this woman wearing this absolutely incredible black outfit that was, let's just say it showed off her tattoos quite well. And it's Mardi Gras, so, a lot of people dressed up really, really well.
Amazing,
and it was, that was absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to adjust one level here.
Yeah, I loved it. I've never been to anything like that before, and I was super excited. A good friend of mine, Lauren, she's like, come on. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I won't know anybody there or whatever. I walked in, I was like, I was surprised. I knew quite a few people. So
yeah, and it's kind of funny because this event was our 5th annual event, and it was a sellout. Now we've been working on this. I think the guys were saying that the first Kinsman Mardi Gras at the German Canadian Club 5 years ago only had about it might not even been 100 people at it, and we've just built it up since then. The primary reason we do it is to help out Ready Set Go, and our goal is to raise $28,000 for that program so that we can help kids going back to school so they can have shoes and everything.
It's so important too.
It is, and we're talking. When you think about it, we're talking about 1,200 kids.
Yeah.
1,200 students going back to school, some of who would not have the right shoes or have shoes that actually have a bottom to them.
My son was a part of that program last year.
Yeah, and therein lies the reason, and a couple of the Kinsmen. It's a really important initiative that because many of the Kinsmen, some of them grew up in a social situation where they were not, experiencing a lot of abundance in life. So, that said, it's very dear to our heart, and it's great to be able to connect with people so that we can pay it forward.
Absolutely.
And so, over 300 people. We were at the Signature Sandman Lethbridge Lodge Hotel.
It was gorgeous. I could not believe it in there. The colors and everything, like they really went all out. And I had a great time. Everybody came up to our tables, just open and friendly. And I wasn't expecting that, and I just felt like it was beautiful.
I should have had you wear the same outfit that you wore. Talking about viewers that going through the roof. Wow. It was the Mardi Gras.
Any chance I can get, I dress up, I will.
Yeah. The room was absolutely fantastic. Jean and his team over at Prime Catering and the Signature Sandman Hotel, Lethbridge Lodge, did an amazing job of decorating the room.
Absolutely.
The sound system in there was great.
Baker was there
Chris
too.
Baker
Right.
with Prime Entertainment. Him and I go back a long way. He did a great job.
23 years.
23 years. I worked with him way back in the day at remember when it was Studio 54?
Yeah, Studio 54, yeah.
Right? Goose Lindy's, Hollywood's. Yeah. That's where he and I first worked together. And then he worked for me when I managed the Cadillac Club way back in the day.
I used to go to the Cadillac Club way back in the day, too. And, remember the 25-cent draft or 50-cent draft?
Oh,
$1.25 all night on a Thursday? The lineup for that thing was horrendous.
And we hated the smell of the draft. And we would just line up these little cups of draft as quickly as possible. And I was sort of a hands-on man. Well, I wasn't sort of. I was a hands-on manager. So it would be so busy. I'd be behind the counter, bussing tables, washing things, doing things like that, and people would be coming up saying, hey, I thought you were the manager. I said, I am, but a good manager gets involved in the trenches, right?
Hands-on, you
bet. And helps out. Yeah. Getting back to Mardi Gras, the 5th annual event. So many great groups coming together to help us raise money for that. And then, of course, there was a young lady there. I'm going to say young lady, she's not really a young lady, not an older lady, but she walked away with the $4,400 in
know,
cash.
she died. She was in the corner too, getting her pictures done, and she's like, sure, it's like her award just got announced. She just started.
And what was her name? Barb Mayer, I believe it was, and Matt Robertson with Edward Jones, also one of our major sponsors. Matt comes up to me, hands me this envelope full of this cash, and I'm like,
this big too. I was like, oh.
And we're small unmarked bills. Yeah, that's a new definition. Small unmarked bills. Yeah, it was really thick. And then to be able to give it away to somebody who was actually there. Yeah. And the best part about that was it was $4,400 to her, but it was also $4,400 to Ready, Set, Go. We should actually have final numbers hopefully sometime today, and I'll be able to share those. But yeah, what a great event, and it was so great that you guys could actually be there. And
I really enjoyed it, and thank you for having me. It's interesting because really people out of the community were there. Like people like business owners and, people from nonprofit organizations, and I actually had people come up to me and they're like, you're Amanda Simone, you're an advocate for the Amethyst Project. I've been following you for a long time. You're doing amazing things. I can't wait to come to your fundraiser. And that made me feel good, right? When you feel at a place for so long and you go into a situation, because half of my fears was going where I consider a normal society, right? So functions and stuff that I've never been involved in before, or never had a chance to be involved in before, now I am.
But that's really interesting, and this is the whole point. We're talking about a little bit of motivation and stuff today, but even just talk about that level of self-acceptance. I'm a huge advocate of self-esteem and self-esteem development as it pertains to how our brains develop and how we develop through the ages. Here you're talking about being really shy and stuff like that, but you had, and I'm not going to beat this to death, but you had a phenomenal outfit on, and it's the kind of outfit that it's really.
I was wearing dress pants. Let's just say
okay,
this.
And nothing else. No, couple of little butterfly. No. It was a bikini top with dress pants.
It was a bikini. It was, let's get this straight, ladies. It was not bikini because we think of bikini. It was a lace top. It did have, shoulders, and the buttons were here. Let's just get that straight. You know what a bikini and a top is.
Okay. So in my mind, it was very much in the burlesque line.
Yes, absolutely.
And so when you say you're shy, and people say this, like, I'm really shy, I can't do this. Yet you guys were out there, you were dancing, you were great to talk with, very approachable, and that to me is like, well, where does this shyness come from?
I worked on it. I think because I lived two different lives. I lived so many different lives than the one I'm living now.
Yeah. Because I saw you at Diamond's Bridal Exposition, because Diamond's Bridal Expo, because you were right across from me, because you have your lashes, right?
Were you not me.
Was that not
someone out there looks like me? I want to meet her.
I could have sworn. I could have sworn that was you there.
Maybe someone wearing my lashes.
Maybe. Yeah. Or maybe it's just because you do lashes.
I actually have my own eyelash line. Coming out.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little bit about that.
So they're called Vanity Lashes, and you're speaking of motivation and goals. When we spoke briefly last night, and I think my goals varied over years. One of my biggest goals is to stay alive. Right. The other stuff is kind of like I never had opportunity to have goals. Right. And I kind of, like people know, in December I was like, I need to set some things for myself, some goals. Like I deserve some goals. I need some motivation in my life. What can I do to motivate myself? And it's coming out with Vanity Lashes. And we just had our photo shoot yesterday. I'm really excited with Panic and Kimberly Photography. It went really well. I'm really excited for the public to see what I've been working so hard on.
Yeah, and I think I saw, so if you're on Facebook, which most of you may be, and if you're not, you can just go check out Amanda Simon, Simon with a C.
Yeah, Simone with a
C. Simone, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm just going by what just like okay. Simon, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
It's always important to get those names right. But then you can see the pictures that you did with Cat Panic, and she's wonderful.
I love
oh
her.
My gosh,
I really look up to her a lot. She's really trying to pave her own way. She's her own brand. She's worked really hard to get where she's at, and she's very goal and motivated orientated ever since I started talking to her, and I've been watching her journey, right? And I love watching people's journey, and she's so passionate about it.
Yeah. I'd set a goal for this year, and we'll get back to talking about goals. My goal, and last year was a pretty good year for me, and then I'd gone through some stuff. So we become a reflection, I think, sometimes of the struggles that we have, and one of those struggles was in the area of self-esteem, self-image, and I've been on this personal growth mission, and then I thought, what, for 2019, let's create the opportunity to speak about 120 times. To help people out. And so I've been working on this Thoughts Become Things, Healthy Focus workshop, self-esteem workshop, and I've been kind of ping-ponging back and forth from Alberta to Saskatchewan to BC, going out and doing these presentations, 1-hour presentations, for grade 12 students, high school students.
That's awesome.
And getting them to see themselves in a healthier light so that they can change the goals, right? And here's where everything changes. So, for example, if you don't believe in yourself, right, if you don't have great faith in yourself, you don't have a great level of self-esteem, look at who you want to connect with and how you want to connect with. In Lethbridge, we have this huge drug epidemic. And when we stop and look at it, how much different would it be, and how much different are the people that you're going to hang out with when you believe more in yourself? I've known many incredible people in my life. I've had the pleasure of knowing many incredible people. And I look at who they are affiliated with or connected with, and I would say one of these things does not look like the other. There's something wrong there.
Yep.
And then you get to know that person, you realize they have crap for self-esteem, so they're in a relationship with somebody who abuses them, who beats them down physically, mentally, emotionally, and you look at them and go like, why? Like, what happened? And you see these people, they're absolutely incredible people, and they're full of such potential, and yet here they are hanging out with this person who just seeks to just abuse them.
Yeah, toxic, right?
Yeah, and so when I talk to high school students, grade 12 students, I use that as an example, and it's not to harm them in any way, shape, or form, but it's to create an awareness where they can say, hey, we can have so much more. I mean, look at the goals that you may or may not have set in your life, and look at in your past what you thought was okay for yourself versus what's okay for yourself now. What's okay for you and your son now versus what's okay back then.
Yeah.
And what you want maybe for you and your son, or you want your son to have now versus 4 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago.
And I still struggle. I still struggle to this day. I still have my issues and stuff. And I had never gave up through this whole process. Many times I felt like giving up. Something would happen that would disarray me, that would bring my self-confidence down. And that's what it does. Little things through my journey since December, and I'll be talking about this in the women's conference in May. So many things that if I didn't work on myself and bring myself to some sort of strength level, I'm not totally 100% there yet. Right? There's these things, and I call them tests now, where these little things would have got me right back into bed, my PTS full blown, depression full blown, slaying there, and things like this, because I give up, right? And I gave up so many times. I'm strong. Amanda would be like, strong? Amanda never gives up. You know how many times I gave up? Tons. I'd run because I'm too scared to face what's happening or take accountability or change my life. Avoiding is one of the easiest things ever. And, I always took on other people's stuff because it was easier to take on other people's stuff and be there 100% for others because I wasn't there 100% for myself.
Yeah.
And then when I changed that thought, and I think, I need to have boundaries and I need to set things because I need to still be focused and I still need to have these goals, and I don't want, there's a solution. It's going to be fine. And once I started concentrating on other people's things, I lost my goals. I lost my focus and my motivation for my stuff. And in the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's in my life. I'm a tough love person. I can deal well helping other people, but certain situations I can't.
Yeah.
It triggers emotions in me, things that I worked on, and some people aren't there yet, right? And I know, and I needed to stay strong in relationships, business, work, boundaries. Because once I let down those boundaries, my motivation and focus and everything's gone. It's gone, right? Because I'm easy to be like, I'm a chameleon.
Yeah.
So when I'm around people, places, things that either lead me into doing drugs or lead me into depressed moments because I'm around people that aren't motivated, that aren't doing these things, I'm easy to do this.
Yeah. Let's back up for a second. You'd mentioned the drugs, struggle with addiction. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here for a second. First of all, why stop doing the drugs? I mean, it's so easy. Why stop? Being hard on yourself that way. What motivates for change? Now, keep in mind, we're at a crisis right now. So, what works for you, there may be 100, there may be 1,000 people that this will work for. Why? What changed? What in your mind made that change?
I still struggle. I have my days. I have my days, when they're really bad.
But why? Why would you
I think
want
I
to
started
change?
loving myself, and I always remember where I used to be.
Yeah.
As long as I remember where I used to be and how scary that high-risk lifestyles I was in, that fear, that's what stops me. And I look at my son every day.
Because your son's pretty young.
Yeah, my son is going to be 6. I was 18 and I gave a daughter up for adoption. I have a 19-year-old daughter. She's out east. Because I was not there. I could not be responsible if I kept her. Everything that I've been through since I've been 18, there was no way I could display any support to her, motivation, confidence, anything. Earlier on, I regretted giving her up, and then I realized everything that I've been through. I had a 10-year-old daughter as well. I gave her to my sister, right? Still see her and everything, and I had to I wasn't the best mother. I wasn't abusive or anything like this, but, her dad was a drug addict. I was not in a good place, and those are the decisions I made. And I had to learn.
Yeah.
I had to learn and how to prioritize, and I needed to quit certain things in my life and be around certain people in order to stay motivated and positive for my son. In the end of the day, because the realizations how my life was when I was a kid, I don't want that for my son. I don't want my son to be displayed around certain things, right?
Yeah.
And he gives me that motivation. Every day my son says to me, "How's your eyelash business, Mommy?" He's 5. This kid's 5. He already displayed an abusive marriage. He's already gone through all of these things. His dad earning to see him back. These were major things in my life, and I don't want these things. I look at my son, it's like, my son needs me. My son needs me. My son needs me to stay positive and motivated and see that I'm working really hard, to change my life.
How did you get the self-love going? How did you learn to fall in love with yourself? This is the $1 million question, because whoever's going to be watching, right? How can they learn to love themselves? I mean, I know what I do.
Sticking around people that are positive for you, that change people's places, things, changing your surroundings, thinking what do you like? What are you creative? We are all creative. We all have talent. We all have value. We're valuable people. We're here on earth. We're human beings. We are of value. Even when I lived on the street, I was still valuable. Maybe I don't see it yet, but I'm valuable.
Yeah. Interesting thing, and we've had this, this conversation quite a bit in Lethbridge. And there is a new policy. The building that Jess FM is in, which is located right downtown, they changed the locks on the building, and they made it so that the number of keys out there were less, and the doors generally remain locked all the time. I come in the other morning, and there's a street person sleeping on the stairs. Now, last Tuesday morning, it was about minus 28 outside.
Nice.
This morning, it's right around the freezing mark. Like, what a night and day difference. Here's the thing. somebody might look at that person and hate them and yell at them, hey, get them out of here, and in my journey, first and foremost, yeah, that person's there, and yes, they don't belong there, but at the same time, it's wickedly cold outside, and you know what? This building, these stairwells in the building are actually very safe. When you consider there are rumors, allegations about certain homeless shelters in Lethbridge, certain places in Lethbridge that are not safe anymore. Mm-hmm. And yet, a stairwell here, this is a beautiful place to be. Even a friend of mine who lives in an apartment complex downtown, they have security now from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. because now, even when it was minus 20, minus 30 outside, the street people would go and sleep in the doorway, yep. even though it was still cold. But for them, it was yep. night and day compared to being out on the street. Yep. Compassion changes everything. You mentioned being on the street.
I slept in doorways. I slept, in abandoned apartments. I slept on, park benches. There was places, right? Couch surfing. There's a whole bunch of things. But you're at survival mode 24/7.
Yeah.
24/7.
Well, especially as a woman.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration of the people that live in the apartment building. I understand the frustration, of someone sleeping in here. But that was their survival mode. They were finding somewhere safe. They close the doors certain hours at the shelter. So if you're not there, guess what?
Yeah.
They have
yeah.
to sleep.
And they don't open them up. If I'm correct on this, they don't open those doors up till 4.
No.
And then so from I believe it's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The shelter is closed.
Yes.
And even when it's cold out, the shelter is closed. And you can see various points in time where street, will be sleeping like a block away, anywhere where they can get the sunshine, shining on them.
Yep.
Yeah, just for a little bit extra warmth. We forget that this is our society, and we've actually created the conditions that produce that.
I understand they need to delegate in the policy procedure and the safety, but at the time, like when you see someone there, you feel your boundaries and your space is invaded, and now you're not safe anymore. Because people and stereotypes of judgment that they're all dangerous, that everybody who lives in the street is dangerous. Everybody,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not. There's 65-year-old people living on the streets, ladies and gentlemen.
The street life is actually, it's a very, very hard life. And
they're their own family. They're their own family.
And a lot of the guys that live on the street, they're just not healthy.
They don't have medical. They don't have.
Yeah, you watch them walk around, and they don't move very quickly.
No. And mental illness and exhaustion, and they lost hope, they lost love, they lost everything. And when you live on the street, that's your street family. You have a street family. You know what I mean? Because that's who they cling on to. That's their family, because they have nobody else, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where gangs and these things come in, because they're family. They live a different type of life, right?
Yeah. And so now to go back, you talked about changing, get the self-love going. You talk about changing, but when you look at the homeless situation here, how do you say to somebody who's on the street, how do you say to them, change your situation, change the people you hang out with?
So easy for people to say that.
Yeah, when society has placed barriers on that. And yes, there are outreach programs through the supervised consumption site, there's counseling available, but then at the same time, they have to be able to go from that into a transitional housing or a program of some kind.
Work. It's a lot of work.
And, it's not like you can just reach out and connect with them when that becomes available.
No.
Right? So
there's a list. Like, people have no idea the list. The list just to get into a transition home. A list just to get help. I'm really glad, when I had, certain people on the show, and they're like, we're working on getting beds. There's going to be 45 beds. But still, what's 45? Those will be filled up fast.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and you have things you need to follow by. There's criteria for you to get in there. But the first step is wanting to get help, admitting you need help. And that's the hardest thing anybody can do, is admit you need help. Admit you're not in a good place.
Yeah.
I have certain friends when I'm not in a good place. I'm not in a good place. I'm not in a good place now because I know myself.
Yeah.
If I don't let someone know I'm not in a good place, and I start being introverted, then my motivation and my focus is gone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's something that I can really relate to. I just went through a pretty low period in my life, and even friends around me were like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. It's weird. And so finally I reached out to a health professional to find out, what's going on, and I got the diagnosis, and things have begun to change for me. But at the same time, the hardest thing to admit is that whole thing. Oh yeah, you suffer from mental illness, and so many people do, and
Absolutely.
and all they want to do is almost have a Band-Aid policy to dealing with it,
Yeah.
right? And
Drugs
we
and pills,
drugs
all
and pills,
these
and
you know.
you're just hiding from it.
Yeah.
We are creatures of habit, and sometimes the hardest habit to break is the habit of self-loathing. The hardest habit to create is that habit of self-love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So I'm going to go back to it again because I'm still waiting for the magic answer. How did you create a love for yourself? Now, I know when you've got your 6-year-old son and you're holding him in your arms and stuff, it's easy to say, I need to be there for him. But how do you be there for yourself? How did you create that for yourself?
I
know that's a hard one.
No, I always struggle with faith, right? And it's such a touchy subject to talk about faith and praying and higher power and all these different things, right? And I just, like I said, I woke up one morning and things were different. Because in the end of the day, I have a stubbornness about me. So you could tell me I'm such an amazing person, but until I start believing it, I'm not going to do anything to start putting the work in and showing. I sat there and I was like, you know what? My son loves me. I know I'm a good person. What have I done in my life besides feeling guilty about the stuff I've done wrong? And what can I do? What can I do with my life that's not going to bring me down where I can turn around? And that's having to focus. You're creative. You're good at these things.
You asked that question, though. That was the thing. What can I do?
Yeah, what can I do that's going to make me happy? Because I've had jobs that didn't make me happy. What can I do? What can I take my life experience and turn around? And that was doing a fundraiser and focusing on my experience and how I can help others.
Yeah.
And
tell me about the fundraiser.
So the fundraisers for the Amethyst Project. So the Amethyst Project is through the YWCA, and it's for victims of sexual violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment, men, women, children. And it was very dear to my heart. They were, like I said, my client in 2016. I was one of their very first clients because I was a victim of a crime. And, just in general, YWCA was there for me since I've been 16. I went to the grand opening of the Chinook Sexual Assault Center, which I think I'm so happy that they're here. I think it's going to help with people as well, right? And for their mental illness and their,
Do you have the numbers on that, by the way?
Not on me, but you can go on Facebook and look up Chinook Sexual Health Center. They started their counseling and everything. Just make a call. They have a great staff there. Christina's the CEO, and I seen her, and this is what kept me motivated too. I seen her, and she was a significant part in my life through the YWCA.
Yeah.
And she hasn't seen me in years, and I'm standing there, and I said, "Hi, Christine," and I said, "You're a huge part." And she didn't see me for years, and she looks at me, she goes, "Amanda, and tears started running to her eyes because she's going, "Holy crap. So many years you were in and out of that revolving door at the YWCA, and you're here, you're alive, and you're doing these things to make a difference."
Yeah, you're here and you're alive.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you that, is that not the litmus test for where your life is and the potential?
Yeah, and I was like, it was a huge significant moment, and I was so proud of myself because I got motivated. I started loving myself in order to put myself out there. It's like, what? Criticize me because I'm going to go full force, and I'm going to make a difference. Whatever it's going to do, however someone needs my help, I'm going to make a difference, and I'm making a difference just sitting here and being alive.
Yeah.
And if that's not motivating enough for me, then what? My son's saying, "You can do it, Mama. I'm so proud of you." People saying, "I'm so glad you're here to live." This is why I got motivated. because I am worth something, because people seen my worth. And I started realizing how many people seen my worth and how many people didn't give up on me, even though in my mind I gave up on myself.
Yeah. And just to break it down, so, excuse me. Oh, need some water. So just to break it down, Amanda used, oh, I got a frog in my throat.
It's okay.
Amanda used a moment of success in her life to make that change happen. And it was like asking the question, well, if people see this for me, why don't I see it for myself?
Yeah.
Why don't I make that change myself? And from there, it is just asking the question and then reinforcing. And we know, and I mentioned this before in my program, one of the best ways to establish faith excuse me, is through repetition, is through autosuggestion. And it's, you write it down, you see it in front of you, and you hold it in front of you, and then you look at those great moments of success. If you're worthy of this one thing right now, why can't you be worthy of these other things? And the fact is, yeah, you are, each and every one of us is so incredibly precious, yet when we're in those low lows, we don't feel it.
Yeah, and I think, the stereotyping I went through my whole life, like my stepmother calling me, a whore and these kind of things too. Me being a dancer and me, being a victim of human trafficking, always being broken down, always was something that I didn't even know who I was until last year.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who I was until last year. I forgot my name so many years because I was always someone else's name.
Yeah.
Or always someone else. I went missing. I went missing when I was a kid. For a year and a half, my family couldn't find me. I went missing in Toronto for years, 3 years. No one could find me. And I was always something. I had to be someone else. And then I realized, this is me. I'm creative. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of surviving. I'm worthy of these things. There was one point in my fundraiser, You Are Not Alone. I felt alone, and this is why I named You Are Not Alone. I felt so alone. And sometimes I'd be on the street, be like, I'd have dreams. I dream. I dream what I can do in my life, what I wanted to do in my life.
It's so
I would be
important.
good in my life. Even I had dreams. As much as I was 16 years old, being watched, forced to work on the streets. At 16, 17 years old, I still had dreams. That's what kept me alive. That motivation of seeing even this much self-worth at time, even that light, that little light kept me alive. My self-awareness, I always, as much as I have felt unworthy and always constantly reminded, especially coming back to life, oh, nothing but a stripper, oh, nothing about this, keep breaking me down. There was that light, that hope.
And there's, but there's the thing too.
Stereotyping.
We are so quick to label, and we forget that these people, whether they're strippers or whether they're street people or whether they're homeless, they're people, and they're suffering from some unfortunate situations. Until you ask them that, and it's interesting because if you were to talk, if you went to the Top Hat and were to ask, many of the people that work there, why do you do what you do? And they would probably say something to the effect of, you know what, it's a great living.
Yeah, I
right?
got bills to pay.
I got bills to pay.
I have kids. I have an education.
I've got that. And I want my kids to have a great education. I want my kids to do so much more than I did, and this is the easiest way for me to make money right now. Will I do it forever? No, but I can make the money now, and I can get out when I'm 30, 35.
And you got to be strong. Holy man, you got to be strong because that's high risk lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says, high risk lifestyle, right? There is attachments onto that can bring you down, that can break down your motivation.
Because you're so much more
and then
than just your flesh.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? You put yourself out there, and you better be prepared. You better be prepared that there's some asshole, calling you, breaking you down when you're on stage, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. And you do, unless you're strong, that breaks down your self-worth. You're only
Yeah.
worth like that loony, right? And people don't realize that. They smile, they can have a good time, have a drink and everything like that. But don't think for 2 seconds. Don't think for 2 seconds that at one point in their life, their motivation and their focus has gone to themselves. Their self-love is gone.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a constant reminder, right? So
I remember years and years ago, I mean, we're going back 30 years. I worked on, for the Saskatchewan Department of Highways, and we went on a road trip one weekend, and we ended up in Medicine Hat at one of the strip clubs there. And, I was incredibly judgmental back in the day, and I remember having the opportunity to kind of talk with one of the strippers, and she was saying, because it was summertime, and she said, I do this during the summer so I can pay for my education. I'm going to the University of Alberta, and I'm taking this and doing this, and I'm like, wow. And we got talking, and I realized, so much more than just a beautiful woman on stage. There was, first of all, somebody's daughter, potentially somebody's mom, and wife, and or girlfriend, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then and that opens up everything else too. But then here's this person who is, she does this job because she says, I can pay for my education. I work for 3 months, and I pay for my education for the rest of the year. And she said, and she says, I'm worthy of that education.
Yeah, and it's a difficult situation because you don't want money to be a motivator. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, money's a motivator.
Yeah.
Right? Money's the root of all evil. Money can buy and sell things, right? I always caution. I've gone to the Hot Hat, and I have friends that work there and stuff, right? And, I've had these young girls come up to me, and I danced on and off for 20 years, everywhere in Canada, right? I've seen all sorts of types of, and they come up, and they're scared. They're literally scared, right? They're scared. They, they're excessively drinking and everything to numb out what's going on, right? And you really need to separate and don't lose that focus and motivation, because especially that young start. I started dancing in Toronto at 17 years old, right? I was in clubs where, like, legitly were like hardcore, right? And being forced into situations. And my best advice, like, you can't give advice, because in the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you say, especially when you're that young.
Yeah.
Who's this? She doesn't know anything, right? And my best advice is stay safe. Whatever you do, stay safe.
But we can talk about physiologically staying safe, but really, in our lives, the best safe you can be is the safe up here, right? And so that said, as time is ticking by, one of the best things you can do for yourself, if you don't feel right within your skin, if you don't feel right about yourself, connect with people who can help you out with that. Connect with, with Alberta Mental Health. Connect with all of these different organizations that will support you. Connect with friends. Find inspiration around you.
Yeah.
And just find the strength and the power to build yourself up, because, first of all, you matter.
Absolutely.
There's 7 billion people in the world, and you know what? There's nobody like you.
No, there's no one like
Nobody
anybody.
like you,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing, where in a society where we struggle or we strive to compare ourselves to everyone else, stop, because there's no, when you compare yourself, when you try and measure yourself against somebody else, you know what? You're taking away from your uniqueness.
And it's funny you said that. Just be yourself. People say, "I wish I could be like you." But you're not like me. Don't wish you can be like me. You can be and take the actions like I did, but you'll never be me, and I'll never be you. But you're worth something. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We can do it, right? It's making those steps, because one of the hardest things I had to do was fix my life. Hard. It's hard. It's really hard. And I couldn't start fixing my life until I started believing I could.
Yeah.
Right? And there was moments when I'm doing the fundraiser, and, Claire Petalou, she's like, "No, you're not. You're not giving up. Too mad." You know what I mean? Like, that tough love, like, "No, you're not going to give up. Oh, excuse me, you're not going to give up. You're stinking thinking. And, dude, you've gotten this far. Like, you're going to do it." Right?
Stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking.
Seriously. Like, it just...
It's like the makings of a new program here on Just
Stinking
FM.
thinking.
Yeah.
Is it not? No, because you're in here. your worst enemy is here, right?
Yeah.
You're the only one can really sort it out, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm giving up. Forget this is going to fail. You know, these things. Well, I'm taking 10 steps back from what I've worked on.
Yeah.
Right? And before, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm done or whatever. I'm like, no, I have people rely on me. I need to rely on myself and okay, I'm having a moment. I need to get out of this moment. I need to get back on the road and walk and go get the sponsors and all these motivations. I'm going to make a difference. I can go, and it doesn't matter one person. I'm going to make sure there's someone has a rape kit, and I'm going to make, you know, and that's motivate me because I'm out there and I'm motivated and I'm focused on having a goal. And that's the first time ever that I've really had goals besides staying alive.
Yeah.
You know, or a goal.
Isn't that an interesting journey, though, when you can go from, okay, my goal for today is to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Reality check. We live
it's
in...
It's a gift when I open my eyes, right?
Yeah. But, here's the thing, and this is where, in my self-esteem workshops, I always talk about we become what we think of every day, right? And what we think of every day, that can change. When you talk about, okay, today I'm thinking about just staying alive. You're pretty low on the success, life scale, if that's your primary thing, right?
Alive. Where's my next meal? You know what I mean? Like these
so now
things, right?
you have a house, you have your son, and now it's okay. Now I'm going to create a business.
Yes.
To go from, now your goal for 2019 is I'm going to have this business. I'm going to make a difference in people's lives, and I'm going to show people that they can learn from where I've been.
Even with struggles. Right?
And everybody struggles.
Yeah.
I mean, very good friends of mine have kids that are struggling with addiction. I've known so many addicts in my life. And, and I get it. I know where it comes from. Been there, done that. And I know what it takes to change. And you're right. It's hard work.
It's hard.
It's absolutely hard work.
And it just doesn't seem worth it. It's all this hard work. And how did you think I got here? You think I got here it's easy? You think people handed me a silver platter? No, I went every day to Alberta Works. I went and seen my career counselor, Tyler. I went in, found a job. I went and used every single resource possible. I used outreach at YWCA. I used these places. And as much as people, it's a pride thing, let me tell you, I ain't going to get where I need to go without resourcing the help that people are offering me.
Yeah, and there's a lot of help available.
Let's
lots. Talk about, Amanda, what you've got going on and where people can connect with you, because I know you've got a great message to share. Yes. And YWCA has always been very dear to my heart. They do great work there.
Absolutely.
If people want to connect with you on Facebook, is that the best portal that they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect with me. I do have ladies that connect with me and just need to talk. Absolutely. I'm always available. Look up Amanda Simone. You're going to see my journey from the first day that I started with the idea of Vanity Lashes. You're going to see my writings. Writing was a huge thing for me, a huge outlet for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know my writings. I'm very raw and real. I have people come out to me in the community. Please don't be scared to come up to me and connect with me. I'm more than happy to, send you to the right people. Absolutely. If anything, have an ear for you. If you'd like to get involved with, You're Not Alone event, by all means, come out, support, the entrepreneurs, support the Amethyst Project.
Yeah. So what we'll do following the show here, and I know our good friend Jesse will be sharing this video across many different Facebook pages, but what we'll do is with this one on the Just FM page, and as it makes its way over to my JR Matthew page, I'll be sure to share Amanda's links so that you can check those out, and maybe there's a journey that you want to go on, and maybe there's some inspiration that you can share with those people, whether it's yourself or the people that you know that are at risk, and we can begin that journey of being safer.
Yeah, and I have some connections and some phone numbers as well too. Definitely, for survivors or victims, people that just need to talk. YWCA is there 24 hours a day. Call Harbor House. There is a crisis line. Don't be scared if you need that information. Definitely reach out to me. You'll see all the information and things that I'll be up to in the community coming up this summer.
Okay, fantastic.
Awesome.
Amanda, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really
That's
appreciate it.
That's awesome. Okay, well, watch the video, share the video, and by all means connect. Remember, 7 billion people in the world, and there's nobody like you. That is cause for celebration. So get out there, value yourself.
Self-love.
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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, have a great day.
Have a great morning, guys.